talk so much in the book about concussions.
Yeah.
It's like pretty like it's just so you know, to describe being like such a dominant fighter in the UFC, 15 victories in a row, but like kind of what people didn't know is that you considered like your own like brain so vulnerable, right? Like you had to not get hit.
Yeah, I mean, people weren't as aware of concussions back when I was like, a kid doing judo, and it was kind of thing where if like you hit your head and you started getting photovision or nauseous or a headache or things like that, you didn't say anything because, coach would be like, stop being a pussy, you just have a headache. And so like for 10 years, I was experiencing concussion symptoms more often than not. I would get a concussion, and every single night you're hitting the ground over and over again. You're doing judo, it's impacts. And so it would just keep aggravating it. So I would get one concussion and the symptoms would persist for like weeks, even months.
Ugh.
And then I would get them multiple times a year. And then every time you get one, it's easier to get another. And so then by the time I got into MMA, like, if I got hit, even reasonably hard, I'd start seeing stars. And so I had to develop a fighting style where I just never got hit and I finished fights quickly. Like I did that on purpose. It wasn't like, I was getting lucky. Like that was like the system of fighting that I created. And it got to a point where it was just getting worse and worse, like this, like lighter and lighter hits would start like, giving me concussion symptoms. And, I couldn't tell anybody about it because I didn't want to admit it to myself that I wasn't like invulnerable. It wasn't that I knew I wasn't invulnerable, but I needed to convince myself that I could be perfect in every single match and no one could ever touch me. Because to try to attempt something that crazy, you need to have that kind of confidence in yourself. And I couldn't tell my coach, I couldn't tell Dana because they would make me stop. They might make me retire, so.
That's a paycheck,
It's not just that. It's, I think.
Your whole identity, really.
Your identity.
Yeah.
It's not just, money. Like, it was like being the best in the world and being like the champion was my entire identity. And then it got to a point where, right before the home fight, I slipped down some fucking stairs in my socks, tore out my knee, knocked myself out on the stairs 2 weeks before the fight. This was after somebody else already pulled out of the fight. Dana needed me to fill in. I couldn't pull out. So I fought anyway, already having a concussion. And then I had a fucking, my mouth guard was the wrong mouth guard, and it didn't have the back on the teeth. And so the first time I got hit, it knocked my teeth out. It knocked me out of my feet. Like, I couldn't fucking see. I couldn't tell distance. And so the whole fight, I was just trying to make it not look like I was out on my feet trying to recover. And all I could do was keep coming forward, even though I couldn't see how far away she was. And then I was continuing taking hits over and over. But I was just like, I can't let it show that I'm hurt. Because if I get, like, descended upon, it's fucking over. And it still like irks me to this day that people judge that performance as like how I fight or like what my game plan was, when that was like me literally out on my feet, like trying not to let it show. And then and then after that it was just like the smallest hits would give me a concussion, dude. Like Stephanie McMahon and Nikki Bella slapping me with an open hand would give me a concussion, like those symptoms. And I couldn't say anything. I couldn't say anything about it after the fight because I was expected to fight again. I couldn't let anyone know like that it gotten that bad. And then afterward, I wanted to go to the WWE. They've had such a complicated past with concussions and stuff like that. They wouldn't hire me if they knew it was that point. And then if I let them know how often I was getting concussions, they wouldn't let me, perform in matches. So I had to I'd had a lifetime of experience hiding the fact that I was concussed all the time. And so yeah, now I can finally talk about it because I don't think I'm going to be wrestling for the WWE ever again. And, so.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. Like, reading all about the concussions, I just thought, wow, like, here, this is kind of counterintuitive to go from a career of concussions in fighting, and then now let's go to the WWE. Like, how do you not get like how do you ever get through a single match in the WWE without getting a concussion?
You had a concussion leaving the ring.
Oh my god.
Who doesn't?
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody that
it's
gets
kind
in
of like
there.
a gift basket. It's
For
like
sure.
it goes in there. Like you get a bobblehead, you get a concussion, you get some T-shirts. But I mean, it was, I guess, easier because if I had a concussion, or if I needed a moment, if I got dazed, if I was seeing stars, I could always be like the other person, like, hey, give me a second, you know. Please don't jump on me and punch me in the face a bunch of times, you know. Like you can kind of have that communication, and you know there's more of a room for error or stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to do it, and I didn't want anyone to make that decision for me. So again, I had to like keep it quiet, and you know.
Yeah, I wonder what sport has the highest rate of concussions.
I don't know. I was
Soccer?
talking. No, I mean
Football.
soccer,
So they say 'cause of
football,
the
maybe.
the headers,
I think football.
Yeah.
I think football
not
for
boxing.
sure.
Boxing.
The thing about football is that
Football,
like
lacrosse.
like the linemen, every play, they're like boom, you know, it's just like they just all ram into each other every single play. And because you've got this big, huge, heavy helmet, like you feel like you can hit it with impunity, but in fact, like
It's making it worse. So like for every fight, I would have to do like 50 rounds of sparring. And when you have the headgear and the bigger gloves, it protects you from cosmetic injuries like getting cuts and swollen and stuff like that. But your brain is suspended in fluid.
Yeah.
That's not what it gives you concussion. It's like
Coup contra coup.
it's your brain hitting your skull on the inside on basically the
Yeah.
other side of your head. So if it's a bigger weight, you're getting more of an injury neurologically from wearing a helmet, from wearing headgear, from having bigger gloves. And so that's why even when I was having fights where nobody was touching me, the sparring was
50 rounds of sparring.
for every match I would do, because I only had championship matches because, you know,
Yeah, you're a
is
champion.
me. And we would always do 10 times the amount of sparring rounds as there were rounds in the match. So if I had a 5-round match, which I never went to 5 rounds, but in theory,
Right.
it could
So
happen.
your first couple, you had like a combined 2 minutes of your first 4 matches.
Yeah, I actually have it. This is how many seconds all my wins were. Yeah, in a row.
Wow.
When I look at it like that, I'm
That's
like, you know
sick.
what? That's pretty incredible, and I should be proud of myself. Which, you know, it makes it tough because I had to leave a sport where I'd never been faster, never been stronger, never had a better grasp of the art, and you know, but you know, you only get one brain, and it doesn't callous. It just inevitably, you know, declines and degenerates, and I have to be like an ambassador for the sport forever. And if I end up like, you know, like Muhammad Ali, it's not going to help the sport. And, you know, like you don't want to be one of those fighters that just sticks around a little bit too long, because it's sad to watch, and it's so hard to say when, especially when you've never been better. But you know, like you only get one brain, and you know, I already have dementia and Alzheimer's in my family, and that's like one of my fears, you know. And they weren't spending any time. Like my grandma was a librarian and now has Alzheimer's. Like she wasn't taking you know, thousands of hits throughout her life. So you know,
it's so crazy. I remember I asked Tony Hawk, or Tony Hawk told me
His grandma has it.
Yeah, his grandma, his mom had Alzheimer's, and like we were randomly talking about CTE, and Tony said, "Oh, there's this test you can get, which determines if you have a gene which makes you predisposed."
I took it.
oh really?
My grandpa got Alzheimer's at like 58 years old. So when you do the 23andMe, you can check to see if you have the gene or whatever that was.
Yeah, a gene which makes you predisposed to Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah, but you can't do anything to prevent it,
Right,
though,
and
right?
if you have the gene which makes you predisposed to Alzheimer's, then you're more prone to have problems with CTE. And Tony told me that he got the test and he didn't have the gene. And I said, well, that's great, Tony, but what were you going to do if you did have the gene, you know, like, because I'm thinking, do I want to get it or not?
Well,
You should definitely get it.
I don't have the gene,
I
and
know,
they said
but
I
you
still have a
can't
9% chance of getting it, even without the gene. And
You still have a what chance?
like a 9% chance.
Okay.
But I mean, you know, I don't want to sound like one of these fucking douchebags on a podcast talking about ice baths and saunas, but they do have those, you know, studies that are out that are saying, like, if you do, you know, 175 degree plus 5 days a week in a sauna, it reduces your risk of like
175 degrees
or higher in a sauna for 20 minutes. At 5 days or more a week, the studies are showing that like it reduces your risk of like Alzheimer's and dementia by like 70%.
Great, because I've been trying to convince Trav to let me get a sauna because I got a cold dip finally.
Cool.
But he didn't put it together until like I had a month of WWE left, and I kept like tearing the cartilage in my ribs. I kept messing up my ribs like the whole time, and I finally got it the last month, and then I haven't gotten it since. I'm like, I'm not gonna jump in there just because, but yeah,
I jumped in this morning.
There was a company that gave me a cold plunge, and I looked at it every day and thought, man, not today. Today's not the day. and like literally, I never once got in it, and it was just filled with mold. Mold water.
My boys use it a lot because they play football, so they're always got like sand and gook in there. And like, boys.
You haven't used it yet?
No, I do, especially when it's hot in the summer. But this winter, I haven't used it. I was using it a lot when I did WWE. But
Do you feel better afterwards?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good for you, man.
Now I got a new one in Tennessee. I use it every single day.
Yeah.
Start my morning with that every single day.
No.
Yeah.
I can't wake up like that. I wake up with my baby on top of my chest, literally peeling my eyeballs open. It's like, wake up, like, I just want to sleep. It just literally peels open my eyelids every morning. Jesus.
Do you like shopping on Amazon? I do. And good news is, Steve-O's butt wipes for your butthole are available on Amazon. And if you want a real bundle of a deal, you can get Steve-O's hot sauce for your butthole, plus Steve-O's butthole destroyer, and Steve-O's butt wipes for your butthole. It's the butthole bundle, available on Amazon right now. Yeah, dude.